Hey everybody, Frank Kern here. Welcome to this training. On this training, which is recorded, by the way, I just did this live 5 times in a row for a total of 1,003 attendees. I think I got it down pretty good, but this is in fact a recording. Just so I want you to know that I'm not trying to insult your intelligence by pretending that it's live. Oh, and by the way, in case we've never met, again, my name is Frank Kern. I've been an advisor to online entrepreneurs since 1999. That's 22 years and counting. I made it official in 2012 when I started my consulting firm, which was very creatively named Frank Kern Inc. We started counting the number of customers we served in 2015. It is now at 82,000 paying customers and counting. They're all internet entrepreneurs like me and like you, and they have always just paid to learn how to do one thing and one thing only, which is to get more money from the internet. So that is the end of the self-aggrandizing introduction. Let's talk about what's really important and the reason why you're here, which is to get some money. Our mission today, what we want to do today, I want you to walk away from this training being able to go out and get money in your business right now, like literally today. I want to give you things that you can do today, right now, that will produce revenue for you within the next 24 hours. That's our primary mission. Our secondary mission is I want to sell you something. And I want to sell you something that's high ticket, except for I want to sell it to you at a very, very steep discount. So if you're worried that there's going to be one of those calls or there's no value and it's just a bunch of like testimonials and random things, and then they say, get on the phone for a strategy session, that's not what we're doing, okay? I want to give you a tremendous amount of value here and then offer to sell you something at a huge discount. It just generally works better that way. So let's get started. So the tools that I want to give you are tools that you can use to become what I call a rainmaker, which is kind of a cheesy name, and it's a term that I use to describe somebody who can produce significant revenue in a business. And a rainmaker is very, very rare. You're about to see this. There aren't a lot of people who can do it. So the reason I made this and have decided to come and sort of share these tools and skills with you is a couple reasons. We've got huge opportunities that are in front of us, and we've also got pretty significant dangers that we need to be aware of. And then if we're not aware of them, we could be hosed. The opportunities are really boundless. Like right now, things are unbelievably good. Remember in 2020 when everybody had to stay home because of the pandemic and people just started spending online like crazy? That year I made a prediction. I was like, you know what? I bet after this happens, even when the pandemic is over to the degree that people don't have to stay home all the time anymore, I bet they're still going to spend a lot of money online. And if you look at the screenshot from Forbes here, it says that according to Statistia, in the United States alone, not globally, just in the US alone, e-commerce revenues $469 billion for 2021, which is up from $431 billion in the year 2020. So it just got better. All right. So this is amazing. We have so much opportunity because number one, people are spending more money online than ever. It's crazy. Number two, everybody's on social media and it's really cheap to advertise there and it's really easy to get attention there, even if you don't run ads. So that's incredible. Number three, we've got all these tools where we can automate most of our business. That's great. Number four, the barrier of entry is very, very low. Like it's not hard to be in business these days. So all of this stuff is amazing. Now, I do want to address an elephant in the room, which is the economy. Okay, so the economy is definitely going to get strange because of all the stuff that's going on in Europe. And I want to tell you from experience, 22 years of experience, that when the economy goes down, people who have rainmaker skills, their businesses go up. And there's two reasons, all right? Remember earlier, I told you I've done this, I just finished doing this presentation 5 different times for 1,003 people. I surveyed those people, and about 70% of the people that were on, they said, you know, I want to learn these skills to increase revenue in my own business. And about 30% of the people that were on said, I want to learn these skills so I could do it as a hired gun, because there's a lot of money in that. So we're going to address both camps in today's class, but I want to tell you, it doesn't matter what camp you're in. Your business can be significantly better when the economy goes down. And it's hard to talk about this without sounding opportunistic. And I'm not suggesting that we want to profit off of personal suffering or anything like that. That's terrible. However, here's the deal. Okay. So if you're a person who does this as a hired gun, you'll see that businesses that are super successful now, when their sales start going down because the economy's weird and they don't know how to deal with it, and they don't have the skills that you have, they seek Rainmakers out like crazy. As a matter of fact, there's a huge demand for people with these skills. I'll prove it to you in a minute. So that's thing number one. Thing number two is, if you're in the camp where you're wanting to use this for your own business, here's what you'll experience when the economy gets weird. The herd will get thinner, meaning you're going to have way less competition because your competitors don't know how to deal with it. They don't have the skills, they don't have the tools to not only survive, but actually thrive when the economy gets weird. I'm going to show you what those skills are today. So we've got huge amounts of opportunity, but we've also got a lot of danger. Number one, people are struggling. All right, so that's another reason that I made this training for you. Remember, I told you I did it 5 times in a row, and 1,003 people were on there. I surveyed them, okay, and I asked them 2 questions. I said, number one, are you advertising now, and or have you ever advertised? And I actually downloaded the data from all my webinars onto the screen here, so you can see like the majority of people said yes, like 70-something% of the people said yes. I've tried ads before. Now, my second question to them was, hey, did it work, right? Are you happy with it? And as you can see right here, the overwhelming majority of people said no, it did not work for them. They weren't happy with it. And so we have the situation where we've got all this opportunity, but people are struggling and they're not getting the results they want. And that's what we're going to fix today. And the first thing I want to do is I want to show you the root cause of it. So if your business isn't making the revenue that you want, it's probably one of these 2 things. All right. So these are this is the deep psychological root level of it. And we're not going to spend forever on this. I'm not going to try to pretend to be a shrink or anything. Okay. But here's the thing. Number one, okay, we get overwhelmed. Incidentally, remember I told you I've been doing this 22 years. I will survey my audience every year or so, and I'll ask them, hey, what's the number one thing that's preventing you from getting what you want in your business? And they, every time, literally 100% of the time, they say overwhelm. I'm overwhelmed. I don't know what to do. Okay. So we have to get rid of that first. So the number one reason that people are overwhelmed is they don't have a clear path of how to get from where they are now. So they're making like X amount of dollars and they want to get to, Y amount of dollars. They want to raise that revenue, and they don't actually have a clear plan of how to get there. And it's understandable because I'm on everybody's email list too. I think everybody has really good intentions, but have you ever noticed that we get the exact opposite advice from people? Like one person will say, don't use Facebook, only use YouTube. And the other person will say, don't use YouTube, only use Facebook. And the other person will say, you should get a bunch of Instagram followers. And the other person will say, that's dumb, you shouldn't get. And you're like, what do I do? This is crazy, right? So number one, no clear path. Number two, super common, by the way. It's happened to me a million times. This is why I can relate to it. We get a clear path. We know what to do, but then we'll hit an obstacle or a setback. And when we hit that setback and we hit that obstacle, it causes us to doubt our plan. And we veer completely off path and we get right back into the state of overwhelm where we were. And this is so relatable, right? Like, have you ever done it? You're like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to build this funnel. I'm going to sell this product. And you build the funnel and you have your product ready. And, it takes forever to build the pages and all that kind of stuff. Then you start an ad campaign or whatever. And then you launch it and like it doesn't work. And now you feel like, man, I'm back at square one. What do I do? And feels like you have to reinvent the entire business, right? So those are the 2 things that happen. So first of all, we got to be able to fix that. Okay, so let's do that now. Here's the clear path. All right, so that's our mission. We want to find the clear path, and we want to overcome or prevent the inevitable obstacles. And it reminds me, the word inevitable, I need to give you and want to give you this disclosure. I've mentioned getting immediate revenue today. I'm going to talk about increasing sales, increasing business. I'm not a psychic. I don't know what your business is. I'm not making any sort of income claims or anything like that. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a magic pill for you. But one thing I can tell you, so these results aren't typical, etc. But one thing I can tell you with 100% certainty is that you will have obstacles. Okay, so like we could have the best path in the world, the greatest plan, and something's going to go wrong. during that plan. Those results are typical. It happens all the time. I call it the rule of damn it's, by the way. And the rule of damn it's states that most people aren't going to do what you want them to do. Like if you're driving people to an opt-in page, most people aren't going to opt in. If you're driving people to a sales page, most people aren't going to buy. You get it, right? So we're going to have that happen. So we have to know how to deal with it or prevent it in the first place. So let's start on step number 1, okay, which is the clear path. Here's the clearest path that's been around since before any of us were born, okay? This is the oldest one ever. Here it is. Step 1, get a list. Step 2, sell them something. Step 3, sell them something else. And you're like, dude, okay, that's really, really obvious. And it is really obvious. And part of it's really easy, especially like the getting a list part. Getting a list, like, oh my gosh, maybe you've joined me on some of these before if we know each other, but sometimes I'll do these things where I'll do a 4-day challenge. And the challenge is, let's get leads, customers, or both in 4 days or less. And on day number 1, people in that challenge are getting leads. And they're like, I can't believe how easy it is to get leads. This is crazy. I'm getting people on my list for like 42 cents each. This is nuts. Well, yeah, it's not really that hard. So that part's not hard, but what is hard is selling them something and selling them something else. So let's take a deeper dive into that, like how to actually go from less money to more money, which the only way we're going to do that is by selling more stuff. Okay, so there's 3 steps to it. So this is the clear path to do that. Step number 1 is to maximize the value of every person who comes into your sales process or funnel, if that's the word you want to use. Same thing, right? And so there's a lot of ways to do that. Like we can make stuff convert better, or we could charge more. By the way, if you don't test your prices, one thing you could do immediately today is just test a little, like a 10% increase in price. Chances are it'll have no effect in your conversion at all. But we could also do things like add order bumps, upsells, cross-sells, cart abandoned series, all those types of things. Like there are things we could do right now, and I'll go into a deeper dive in a little bit, that could immediately, literally today, start making more money for the business instantly. The second step, all right, is we want to systemize the stuff that we just did that worked. Now, here's why this is important, okay? You and I are entrepreneurs, so I'm sure it's not just me, all right? I've worked with a lot of entrepreneurs. I have clients that'll pay $40,000 a year as private clients, and we're all the same. Doesn't matter what level you're at. Entrepreneurs have 2 things. We have a blessing and a curse, and it's the same 2 things. Thing number 1 is we're very creative. Thing number 2 is we solve problems. That's a blessing because we're creative, we make cool stuff. It's a blessing that we solve problems because that's why we pay us. It's also a curse because we're creative, which means we got to come up with new stuff all the time or else we get bored. All right. And it's a curse because if we don't have any problems, we will create them so we can solve them. And a lot of times we'll do that subconsciously. You ever had something that was working really, really well and then you stop doing it? And then you're like, why did I stop doing that? Probably because of that. Is the way our brains are wired. And so we have to systemize everything that works to protect ourselves from ourselves, as crazy as that sounds. And then the third thing is then we scale the business with ads. Now, remember earlier when I told you how I'd surveyed all those 1,003 people that attended the live version of this class, and like 70-something% of them said, yeah, we tried ads. And the overwhelming majority of those people said, yeah, it didn't work. You want to know why? It's because they tried to scale without doing steps 1 and 2 first, okay? So the money is in steps 1 and 2, and it sounds really simple, right? So like, okay, this is logical, but why is it so hard? And I'll tell you why. And I learned this lesson because I had 4 advertising agencies, and our last one really took off very, very quickly. We got to a multi-7-figure run rate in about 90 days doing it. So this is what I learned, aside from you really don't want to have an ad agency because it's a lot of work. It's like 90 times more work for about 10% of the net profit that you would normally have. So in April of 2021, we started this agency. We have Rainmaker skills in my company, and we're very, very, very good at what we do. So we were able to go to the marketplace and we were able to say, listen, if you have the right business, then we will make you more than what you pay us, or we will refund the difference plus 20%. So either way, you're going to come out on top. And, you know, we were able to do that for a lot of businesses. We didn't win every single time, but it was enough to where like it was profitable and it was cool. And we were like taking off like a rocket, to the point that the president of my company, his name was Tyler, he called me and he was like, dude, we cannot take any more clients. We hit capacity. right? And so I figured, well, we're a big fancy agency, and it's we're going to do big fancy agency stuff. So we hired a very expensive, highly reputable headhunter firm or recruiting firm, talent recruiting agency. And the name of the company, I think, I'm doing this by memory, I think the name of the company was Robert Half, which is not a person, I don't think. I think that's just the name of the company. Anyway, they're awesome. And here's what they said. We said, look, we want to hire people in our agency that are really good at doing these things, which is to get money for our clients very quickly. Because when you go to a client and you say, I'm going to make you more than you pay me, or else I'm going to refund the difference plus 20%, that clock is ticking. That client's like, okay, you better bring in the revenue. So we really needed talented people. So we told them that, and they were like, well, good luck. You can pay us, but here's the deal. Everybody wants those people, and there's nobody out there. So demand's crazy, and there's no good candidates. And I was like, so we paid them, and they were right. They told us the truth. There was no good candidates, and so they were like, we told you so. Like, yeah, you did tell us so, and there were no good candidates to be found. And I got kind of OCD about it. I was like, what? This does not make sense, because to me, everybody in the world knows marketing, right? And you might feel that way too, because you and I are probably on, we follow the same stuff on social media, and we're always seeing marketing stuff in our social media feeds, and it gives us this perception that the entire world knows how to do the stuff that you and I do. But in reality, they don't. And here's how you can prove it to yourself, by the way. I live in San Diego, so I just did this Google search a couple days ago. You can do it for I did it for digital marketing jobs, San Diego. So you can just do digital marketing jobs, your city. And you'll probably see something like this, okay? That's the biggest arrow I've ever drawn on screen. I don't know why I have it so big on there, but according to LinkedIn, there are 2,000 plus job openings for people with digital marketing skills in San Diego. According to LinkedIn, there's 462. So there's a ton of them, right? Huge demand for people who can do one thing, which is, no one wants a digital marketer. What people want is they want money in their business from the internet, right? And there's just massive demand for it. And if you go back, if you do the search this week and you do it again next week just for fun, what you'll see is one of two things. One, you'll see a company that's had the same job opening for 7 months. Or two, you'll see companies that have the job opening, then they hire somebody, then the job's open again 2 weeks later because they have to fire the person. They're no good. So I was like, dude, this is insane. This can't be right, because everybody and their brother sells marketing certifications, and there's we're surrounded by marketing experts. How could people not know how to do this? It's bonkers. So I start going down the rabbit hole, man, and I start Googling everything. I'm like, okay, I want to see what's out there. What are people learning? And so I came across this company, and I'm pretty sure this is the biggest company in the world. And to be clear, I have not gone through their program. It could be amazing, all right? So this is the certification program offered by the Digital Marketing Institute in partnership with the American Marketing Association. And the brochure looks amazing, and they boast 165,000 members, which is cool. And I started checking it out, and I'm like, okay, well, this looks good, it looks really neat. And okay, what are we going to learn in here? And kind of scrolling through everything, and they're talking about, the history of their company. And I'm like, okay, this is what we're going to learn. Cool. Social media marketing. We need that. That's a good idea. Digital strategy and planning. I don't really know what that means necessarily, but it's probably pretty good. Customer experience, e-commerce, and conversion rate optimization. Okay, that's pretty smart. Search marketing, good idea. Digital selling, very important. Essential skills, a little bit vague. Leadership and management, not really what you hire someone as a Rainmaker to bring money in, but whatever. Okay, maybe I'm missing something there. All right, so I'm checking it out. I'm like, all right, well, this is pretty good. And then I start scrolling through the curriculum. And the first thing is social media. What are you going to learn in social media? And I think social media marketing is a huge deal. It's everybody is constantly on their phones, and there's a tremendous amount of benefit to be gotten from advertising on social media, obviously. So I was like, all right, cool. What do these guys teach? Maybe something awesome. So I start reading, and check this out, right? So It starts out where like we do social research. Okay. Content creation and outreach. Oh, well, all right. Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn, Instagram, Snapchat, YouTube, and social video, social customer service, strategy and planning. I'm like, well, this is all good, but that's all vague. So I actually read the brochure, and it says this: we teach creative social media strategies. We teach how to implement budgets and set and measure KPIs and analyze the effectiveness of campaigns using key metrics such as click-through rates, open rates. I don't know how you open a social media thing, but whatever, likes and more. I'm like, okay. Now what's missing here? Okay, what are we missing in this sentence? Like, if the ad that got you here said, I'm going to show you how to implement budgets, set and measure KPIs, analyze the effectiveness campaigns and click-through rates and open rates and likes and more, would you have shown up? No. What's missing here is sales. Okay. And so I was like, well, maybe, it's implied or something. So then I read this last sentence. Okay. It says, but really, we teach how to connect, engage, delight, amuse, make people aware, how to make people feel warm, cool, and happy. May I ask you a question? Obviously, this is a recording, so it's a one-sided question. But did you sign up for this so you can learn how to make people feel warm, cool, and happy? Is that why you're here? I don't think so, right? No, you're here because you want to generate revenue. And that's like all those job openings, that's what they're hiring for. They're basically saying, we want to hire someone to get us money from the internet. And after reading this, and granted again, like I haven't seen this program, it could be amazing for all I know. I'm just talking about what I'm reading in the brochure, and I could very well be taking this out of context. But point is, I think it's pretty obvious by the just sheer volume of demand out there for businesses are just please give us somebody that can help us with this, that nobody knows what they're doing. All right. And it sounds uncool, but I've been at it for 22 years and it's like, okay, wait a minute. We have a serious problem here. So I don't think anybody knows what they're doing, which is if I were to have taken a survey and you'd have said, yeah, I tried ads and they didn't work, it's probably because you just got bad advice from people who don't know what the heck they're talking about. So I want to show you exactly what works right now. Okay, so here's what to do. This is taken from 22 years of doing this all day, every day, since 1999, all the way through right now, this second. This is what works specifically. When someone pays $40,000 to be a private client, this is what I have them do. Very first thing, all right? These are the three things we focus on. Doesn't matter, all right? So here we go. Number one, okay, is we have to maximize the money first. So let me take a deeper dive on that. We took like a 30,000 foot view look at it, but I want to share with you specific things that you can do. So the first thing I want you to understand, and this is critical, and if you get this, you're probably going to be really, really successful. If you don't get this, you're going to keep struggling. Your sales funnel, like your website, your sales process, all that stuff, your copy, your order forms and everything, that's your engine. That's the engine of your business, okay? If in ads, all right, which everyone's fascinated with ads, right? Like everyone's like, ooh, ads, let's run ads, let's get likes, let's get views and all that kind of stuff. All that stuff is like fuel, it's rocket fuel. And it's rocket fuel that can just take your business like to space. It's unbelievable how powerful it can be. But if your engine's broken, there's no point in pouring that rocket fuel into the broken engine. You could have 1 billion gallons of unbelievably powerful rocket fuel. You could pour it into a broken engine and it's not going to go anywhere, okay? So we must do this in order or else we have a terrible problem. And I don't want you to have a terrible problem. I want you to make a lot of money because it'll increase your chances of spending it with me, which will be great, okay? So let's get there. All right, so the very first thing that I'll do if a private client comes in, right, and it's 40 grand, but I don't really do it for the 40 grand. I do it because sometimes I'll take those clients on as equity partners. But the very first thing they do, okay, and so this could be a business that's doing $1 million, $10 million, it doesn't matter. I'll say, okay, what do you want to accomplish? What are we after? And they'll tell me all their problems, okay, which is normal. It's totally cool. And I'll ask again. I'll say, okay, what do you want to accomplish? What are we after? And they'll say, well, this is broken and these people on my team are terrible. And I tried to hire this guy, it didn't work. And this isn't working. And I'll say, great. What would you like to do? And finally, after they vented and they've gotten all the stuff that's on their mind, off their mind, and they can actually think about what they want, they'll set a revenue target. And the first thing I have them do, okay, is I'll say, all right, let's run through an exercise together. let's just sort of go through and look at the last 12 months, 18 months, it's sort of arbitrary, whatever time period makes the most sense. Let's say it's the last 12 months. Let's go through the last 12 months and see what month was the best month in the business, right? And so we'll look, and it's real easy, you just pull up the Stripe account or whatever, and we're like, oh man, wow, it was September or something. And they'll say, okay, wow, September was a big month. What did you do in September? And they're like, I don't know. And so we'll look through the emails, and we'll look through their CRM, and we'll see what promotions they were running in September. And you know what we'll do? We'll turn them back on. And I know it sounds ridiculous, right? You're like, dude, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. But here's the thing. Remember earlier, I told you that we've got these two things that trip us up. Number one, we don't have a clear path. Number two, we'll hit an inevitable obstacle. And that'll cause us to doubt the validity of the path. And we will leave the path altogether and we'll create a new path. Here's what happens even with unbelievably successful entrepreneurs, myself included, by the way. I've done this a million times. That's why I know so much about it. That's why I'm so passionate about saving you from it. I've made the mistake for you. You don't need to make it. Okay, I've already done the dumb stuff for you. So here's what will happen. Things will be going great. Then they'll have a bad week. And in their mind, they're like, it doesn't work anymore. We need to change something. And instead of like thinking about it and analyzing where it might be broken, if it's even broken at all, sometimes you just have a bad week, they totally reinvent the entire sales process. That's thing number one. Thing number two is they get tired of it. All right. So if you've ever had something that's working and then you stop doing it and you're like, I don't know why I stopped doing it, it's probably because you got tired of it. And the reason why is because what I told you earlier, we're entrepreneurs. We like to create things and solve problems. And if we don't have a problem to solve, we will create it in the form of not doing what's working anymore and reinventing everything just so we can like do something. So as silly as it is, do that little exercise and whatever was working, just turn it back on and start doing it. Now, another thing, step number two, like this is all in the category of things you can do today, right now, to get money immediately, especially this one. Okay. So if you're a business, then you probably, like every other business, you have a sales process where you get leads, you sell them something else. And the getting the leads part's easy, right? It's the selling stuff that's not as easy. And here's the deal. Okay, so let's say we've got all these leads that we got over the past year, and they're right here. Our brains, because we're entrepreneurs and we want to create, we want new all the time. All of our focus is this way on getting more leads right now. And our back is turned to the database that we currently have. Here's the thing. You already did all the work to get that database. You've already spent the money to get that list. Chances are you've even sent them emails before that brought in money. Here's what you can do immediately. Go back and look at email campaigns that you sent in the past, like a month ago, 2 months ago, or whatever, that brought in money. Send them again. I promise you it will make you money. And you'll be like, I don't know why I didn't do that. And I would say to you, welcome to the club. There's nothing wrong with it. What we think, by the way, is like, well, I did that 2 months ago. I can't do it again because we think people are paying very close attention to us. I'll tell you something. If our list, if our audience paid as much attention to us as we think they do, we would be billionaires, okay? You could send the same thing that you sent last week and it'll still work. Most people don't even read it. Remember earlier I told you the rule of dammits? If you have an email list, send a broadcast to your list, like whatever, and then looking at your open rates. And did you get a 90% open rate? No, you didn't. Most people probably didn't even open the dang email. So that's the second thing. Sell to who you got. Instead of like trying to go get more, take some of that time and be like, I got all these people. What can I sell them right now? Okay. And then next thing we can do is we can actually maximize the order size. All right. And so this is unbelievably simple and common sense. By the way, all these things I'm telling you they're common sense. There's no point in trying to do anything fancy. The money is in the common sense. I can tell you this from 22 freaking years of doing this. All right. So maximize the order size is really simple. Number one, you can raise the price. So I have this all the time. So let's say you have something and it's $55. That's your price. If you raised it to $58, which is almost a 10% increase in price, not quite, but getting there, right? Sneaking up on it. If you raise that to $58, you probably wouldn't see any difference whatsoever in your sales conversion, but you would immediately be making money. All right. If you're a $5,500 thing, you change it to $5,800, probably fine. If you're at $4,500, you change it to $4,900, probably no difference whatsoever in your conversion rate. So that's thing number one, was painfully obvious. Most people never test it. They just make assumptions. Thing number two, you can add an order bump. Thing number three, you can add one-click upsells. Thing number four, if your sales page drives people directly to an order page without getting their email address first, then get their email address first so you can put a cart abandon sequence. Remember the rule of damn it? Says most people aren't going to do what you want them to do. Go and look at your order form, and if you have a means of measuring it, look at how many people that hit the order form actually end up buying. Most of them don't. It's not because you have a bad order form. Like, maybe you do, but it's probably because of human nature. People just procrastinate. If you're not getting their email address before they start to order and you're not following up with them, do that today. You'll start selling more stuff today. Regardless, any of those things can actually bring in revenue, like right now, today. Okay, so that's step number one. Step number two is we got to keep the money coming. So like, we got to do all the stuff we just did in step number one. We want to do it all the time, because if we keep doing it, it's just going to keep working, right? So in order to protect ourselves from ourselves, we have to have automated systems to make sure this actually happens. All right. Otherwise, our entrepreneur brains are going to kick in, and we're going to be like, well, I don't know, I'm not going to do that anymore. So let's say that in step number one, you're like, oh man, I had this email campaign that I sent in November and it worked amazingly well. Well, if you send it again and it still works, what you want to do is you want to make it so every single person who comes into your sales process, they're going to get that email campaign, right? And if you have an order bump, you want to make it where it's always there. If you are sending emails out to people who like start to order and they don't, you want to make sure that is always happening automatically. I know it sounds so simple, but look, if you do this, you're great, and if you don't do it, you're in trouble. Like, seriously, if you don't systemize the things that work, then you're just reinventing the wheel every single day. I know this is common sense, but I'm telling you, I want you to make money. I don't want to impress you with things that sound cool but are impractical. I want you to make a lot of money, because the more money you make, you'll probably keep buying stuff from me. And that's how I've been in business for 22 years. All right. So let me give you some case studies, okay, of specifically how this works. Remember earlier, I said we had this big agency. We don't take clients anymore. And the reason we don't is because I'm not a good manager, all right? So I was like, we had to get a big team, and I don't have managerial skills to build a big team, and I don't want to acquire managerial skills. It's not for me. I don't want to do that. So we don't take clients like that anymore, just because I don't want to. But boy, did it ever work. Like, we were able to deliver on that promise. Classic example. Okay, so I've got the name of the company blurred out, but this was a company, and the irony here isn't lost on me, by the way. The company sold courses online about how to make money selling courses online. This was their revenue, $16,000 in the 30-day period before they started working with us and doing the stuff that I just told you to do. All right, they spent $50,000 a month on Facebook ads. So they would spend 50 grand and get 16 back. Can't be doing that very long, And so they came to us, they said, fix our ads. And we said, okay, can we make you some money first? And they begrudgingly said, well, yeah, but we really want to scale with ads. And I'm like, all right, fine. But can we make you some money first? And they're like, great, okay, whatever. So this is what happened. First month of working together, $76,242. Now, I'll tell you what we did. Notice a 468% increase in revenue. One thing we did was we shut the dang ads off, right? Like they were pouring rocket fuel into a broken engine. So we reduced their ad spend from 50 grand down to about 5. And the second thing we did is we did exactly what I just told you. We were like, hey, what's worked before? And they were like, well, this worked before. And we sent that out. We turned that back on. So all the ads started going to the thing that worked before. And we tested small with just 5,000 instead of 50,000. The second thing we did is we were like, hey, their business, incidentally, was a higher ticket business, so it was meant to get people on the phone. And so we just deployed something to all of their past leads that they ignored because they were so focused on spending 50 grand a month to get more leads. We just sent a little campaign out that's called a Call Me campaign. That's a templated framework campaign, and it just got people on the phone and got people to buy stuff. And we just did those two things. And 468% increase in revenue. Here's another one. This is great. This company is an interesting concept. Cool guy, by the way, show off. Is for vegans that want to be ridiculously fit, like super muscular, like those people, you know? And so I worked with this guy personally. I sold him personally on a Saturday. And so I did the sales call with this guy. And I'm talking to him, I'm like, what do you want us to do? He's like, I want you to fix my ads. Everybody's obsessed with ads. And again, they're obsessed with the rocket fuel. They ignore the engine. He's like, oh, you know, he's like, fix my ads. I said, okay, tell me about the business. He goes, I've got this list, 14,000 people, they're terrible. He didn't mean that they were terrible people or anything. He just said they're unresponsive, they don't buy anything. I need you to get me more leads. We need to fix the ads. I said, okay, great. So here's what we did in the first 30 days. All right. We brought in an extra $50,000 in revenue. In the first 30 days of working together, what did we do? We didn't fix the ads. All right. So I didn't go mess with the ads yet because the engine was broken. We fixed the engine. Specifically in this one, we deployed one email campaign that got people that were unconverted leads to go back and buy. That was it. And then we took another angle at that same sales pitch with another email campaign. And then we just automated that so that everybody, then we fixed the leads, by the way, or the ads. And so now that everyone who came in through his system from that day forward, they would just get those campaigns automatically. As a result, they would get more customers. It was really, really basic, but people don't, I guess the basics just aren't sexy. I don't know, but money is. I mean, everybody loves money. Here's another one. This guy was great. So this person worked unbelievably hard, and their business would go like this. They'd have like $100,000 a month, $20,000 a month, $100,000 a month, $20,000 a month. This is like revenue all over the place, and they sell stock trading stuff. And the owner would create a new product, and then he would do unbelievable amounts of work. He'd go on TV, he'd get on the news, he'd run all these ads and stuff, and he'd do it, and they'd sell a ton of it, and then they would stop doing it because he's an entrepreneur, right? And so it's normal. Like, it's so common with entrepreneurs. Something will work, and we're creative people. We like to solve problems. We're like, I got to create new stuff. So guy comes in. What's he ask us to do? Fix his ads. We're like, okay, sure. Do you mind if we get some money immediately? 'Cause remember, every one of these clients, the clock is ticking, right? So we've got to make them more than we charged, or else we're in trouble. So I'm like, why don't we make you some money first so we can get that going, and then we'll work on the ads. He's like, cool. So here's what happened first 30 days, all right? 456% increase in revenue, made an extra $95,000. I thought I was in trouble with this guy because he emailed me and he's like, the subject line said something weird like, what about this money? And I was like, oh man, did we double charge this guy or something by accident? You know, I just thought we'd messed up. And what he was asking is, where's this money coming from? So here's what we did. We went through and we did exactly what I told you, which is, okay, let's look at the promotions that have worked the best in the past. And we turned those back on. And it turns out there were like 3 of them. So we turned those back on. And then we created an automated system where we could take the entire database of people and we could run them sequentially through all 3. Like one after the other, right? And we did that, and we just pressed send, and it made an extra $95,000 in revenue from his existing database. Then we fixed the ads so that now, and by fixing the ads, I mean, we just turned them back on. But now every person who came into the sales funnel, they would get those 3 campaigns that worked. So we fixed the engine, right? And that's what we did for the guy. And it was great. You know, here's another one. And this is a weird story. And this is my last case study, by the way, because I really am just trying to show you that the fundamentals, that's where the money is. It's not in like the newest business model, newest business opportunity or whatever. It's doing the fundamentals very, very well. That's where the money is. I can promise you, because I've been doing it forever. So this client, very strange client, okay? Weird business too. So their business is in the crafting niche. I don't want to say exactly what they do for client confidentiality, but it's something you would never think people would even buy. This is random. It's very, very strange. And they had, like, if you look at this screenshot, you'll notice that their total revenue from January 1st through May was $28,000. So the business wasn't doing particularly well. And they were like, will you fix our ads? We're like, okay. And they had a little database, but not much. And they were terrified of mailing their database. So here's what we did for them. What would happen is someone would go to their website, and they would be sent directly to an order form from the sales letter, and they weren't really capturing leads. All we did, all right, let's remember earlier I was like, hey, one thing you can do is if you don't have a cart abandonment sequence, you can put one in, and if it's automated, you'll probably sell more stuff like immediately. We just did that, but here's what's funny, okay? We wrote like the worst cart abandonment sequence ever because they were terrified of mailing people. Like they just did not want to send too many emails, So they'd send an email and like one person would be like, you emailed me too much. They're like, we got to stop emailing people. So we were like, all right. So it was like, I wasn't proud of the work. I was like, God, this could be so much better. But look at the results, for crying out loud. So number one, more money. Okay, like, yeah, we did ads. We spent $32,000 on ads, but it brought in $67,000. So the net profit for that month was more than the entire year prior to that. But the other thing we did is we got 8,700 new leads that they can email, and hopefully they'll email them properly. And the reason it was so successful is because we got those leads and we put them through that little sequence. And again, it was like a very, very small sequence, not a lot of emails at all. And I think this company has amazing potential, but they're just didn't want to email their list that much. And that's okay, like whatever. Here's the point though, is that these fundamentals, these work. Like the money's in fixing your engine. Once you fix the engine, now you go to step 3, which is ads. And that's where you get more money at scale. So step number 1 is get money like right now. Okay, like we can do it by turning on promotions that work before, selling to the people that you already have, right? And so any of those things, that's get money now. Increase the value of everyone who comes into your funnel, whether you're doing a little price test or you're an order bump or a one-click upsell, any of those things, they get money now. Step number 2 is we want to make it, we're always doing that, so we can't sabotage ourselves, so we automate it. Step number 3 is now we get more money at scale. Here's the thing about ads. All right, and I'll prove this to you in a minute. I know everyone's trying to scare you about iOS, whatever, it's a different number every day, right? And they're like, oh, cookie blockers, iOS, you have to buy my magic bullet, silver, like magic pill, super ninja course to figure out ads. Ads work better now than ever. Google, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff. Those are supercomputers, okay? And what I mean by that is their algorithms are so unbelievably smart that if you'll just like use some simple logic and not switch stuff up constantly and have a little bit of staying power, like have some long-term thinking, you're going to be fine. And what's great is it's only going to get better. And I know this from experience. So, it used to be just Google and there was Google AdWords and like that was kind of it, and then they were expensive and then they were very hard to deal with. And then it was Facebook, and Facebook got kind of weird and they were really hard to deal with. And now, if you noticed, Facebook's like not as hard to deal with anymore. They're a lot nicer to people now. And Google, you can actually call them on the phone. You know why? Because of TikTok and Snapchat and other platforms. So the advertising space is getting more competitive, meaning there are more places where me and you can spend our advertising dollars, and that means that the ad prices go down, and that's good, okay? So this is all fantastic. However, you got to think long term, right? So if you're doing the thing where like, oh, I spent $50 and I got 100 clicks to my website and no one bought anything yet, I have to reinvent the wheel. You gotta get out of that trap. You have to be like, okay, let's get a little bit more data here. And I'll give you some examples, okay? So if you think long-term, this can happen. I've been selling it. I still sell this to this day, to this very day right now. I've been running this ad. This is for a $4 course, all right? So it's not actually a $4 course. It's get 4 courses for $4. And I sell it to total strangers, all right? And so I pulled up the stats from, I started running it, by the way. I know the screen says February 1st of 2019. I just did all time, and that's how old my account was. I started running it in June or July of 2021. And up until March 1st, I had spent $214,000 on these ads. I'm not telling you to go out and spend $214,000. When I teach you ads, we do it with $5 a day at the beginning, and then we scale very, very cautiously from there. And there's a lot of systems in place to minimize risk of losing money. But when it works, you can start to scale it up pretty good. So notice that spent 214, made 390 grand, and Facebook's only tracking 7 days, right, after the click, because of the iOS thing. So that's not even counting what these people bought after that 7-day period. So that's really cool. And the reason I'm showing you this isn't because, like, oh, look, here's an ad campaign that worked. Like, anyone could show you that. I want to dispel the myth that ads are hard and it's complicated and you have to have this unbelievable targeting and you need to use all of this trickery and stuff. You don't, okay? So, same offer. Now we're looking at ad set targeting for that one campaign, all right? So notice the big red square on the screen. My most profitable part of that campaign is where I'm showing one ad, primarily one ad, to literally everybody on the planet. There's no targeting whatsoever. All this iOS stuff where, like, oh, we can't target so-and-so anymore, we're done, we have to spend some more money on someone else's course or whatever, it's baloney. Otherwise, like, this wouldn't be true. I'm literally targeting every single person on the planet. Notice the name of the targeting there, it's literally everyone. That's because it's literally targeting every single person between the ages of 18 and 65 years old on planet Earth with one ad. And what's even cooler is I spent, or is it $60,000 over time, obviously, on that one little part of the ad there, and it brought in $155,000. But I'm getting paid to get paid. Okay, so this is what happens when you start thinking like a Rainmaker. You start thinking long term. And the reason I'm showing you my stuff, by the way, not a client's, is because I can't show you client ads. That would be breaking their confidentiality. I'm not going to do that. It would be uncool, right? So I have to show you my own examples, but it's the concepts are the same, right? So when you think about Rainmaker stuff, when you like start to think about this properly and you get out of the reactive overwhelm phase, you realize that if you think long term, you can actually get paid to now to end up getting paid later. So here's what I mean. Number one, okay, I'll go to the next slide so it's easier. Number one, that ad that I ran in that one campaign, it's a video ad. You might have seen it, right? Like, it's a video that I shot. It's so funny because I like shot it with one of those vlogger cameras, like a Sony something or other, like $700 camera or something. Couldn't figure out how to use the camera. It made me look purple. And I was like, I don't want to shoot this dang ad again. So I just ran a purple ad. So like on the ad, I look like I'm having a freaking heart attack on there because my whole skin tone is purple. And I'm like, ah, to heck with it. I'm just going to run it anyway. So the comments on the ad are hilarious. So it's that ad. It's one single ad. All right. And here's what's happened. Two things. Number one, it was very profitable. Number two, a lot of people watched that video to the tune of 1,935,000 people watched at least 3 seconds of it. If you look, and it might be hard to see on your screen, additionally, 415,000 people watched either 15 seconds of it or all of it. It's a 4-minute and 30-second video. By the way, it's long. So that's a really good retargeting audience. I'm building my brand. I can target those people later. But if we go back to this previous slide, I also got 7,297 new customers, and I get them every day. I get brand new customers at a profit every day. Look, what's the magic formula, right? Like at the very beginning, I told you, like, okay, this has been around since before any of us were born. The magic formula for business is get a list, sell them something else. These first customers, I'm getting a list. I'm selling them something. And if I do a good job, they're going to buy other things from me down the line. It's how all businesses work. But I'm doing it at a profit. And the reason I'm showing you this, again, is to just dispel the myth that ads need to be complicated. They don't. They need to be very, very simple. Most of mine have 2 sentences. Seriously, 2 sentences. That's how long the ad copy is. You don't need to complicate this. All right? So when you have the Rainmaker skills and you have the Rainmaker tools, you will be an elite marketer. And you're going to be an elite marketer anyway, because it might seem to you that everybody in the world knows this stuff, but probably like 1 out of 100 people on the planet actually know about this, because online marketing is still pretty new. It's only 20 something years old. Like, that's very, very new. So not a lot of people know this stuff. And most of the people who know anything about it are wrong. Like, they know dumb stuff, like what I showed you with all those certifications. So when you take advantage of the unbelievably good offer that I'm about to make to you, you will be an elite level marketer, and you'll know how to make decisions like this. All right, so let's play a game of what should we do, okay? And so here's the deal. This is a campaign I'm running. It's a very typical day. I took this snapshot on March 3rd. Any day looks just about like this. I spent $1,200 that day. I made $448.60. Now, let's talk about some things, all right? This is important, okay? So I really want to change your thinking on this, because I want to give you the skills and tools to actually go out and get more revenue. And one of the skills is the ability to think like a rainmaker and think long term and identify where opportunity is and where money is. Okay, so here's the snapshot. It looks like the ads are doing terribly. It looks like they're bombing. Some days it'll say nothing. I'll spend like $1,000. I won't make a dime that day on the same day sales. I'm sending it to a website. It looks like this. You might have seen it. All right, it's a video. You know, it's just me talking, same background and everything. Under the video, there's a button where they can start to buy. It's a 2-step order form, meaning when they click that red button, a little opt-in box shows up where they can enter their name and email address. And once they hit enter, now they're taken to the order form. Most people don't buy. Remember the rule of dammits, right? Most people don't buy immediately. So what should I do? Well, let's gather all the data, right? I get a 16.74% opt-in rate. Now, before I show you the next slide, remember earlier I said, hey, Facebook, Google, all these ad platforms, they are supercomputers. They are like freaking brilliant. Those companies have the smartest people on the planet continuously working to make their algorithms work harder and work smarter for you, the advertiser, because they want you to make more. They want you to make money, so you'll spend more money on the platform. So it's a win-win, right? So here's the deal. If you're like most people that watch this, then you've tried ads before, right? So, you know, when you go to set up an ad, let's say on Facebook, Facebook's like, what do you want me to do? And you'll click a little button that says, get me conversions, right? And then you'll go and it'll say, all right, what kind of conversions do you, and you'll say, I want you to get me purchases. I want you to get me sales. So when you do that, all right, and then and Facebook says, who do you want me to show it to? And you're like, I don't know, show it to people who like farming or something, whatever. I just pulled that out of the air. All right, so you got this giant audience. So what Facebook's algorithm's going to do is it's going to look at all those people. Let's say there's 1 million people in that audience. And it's going to say, based on everything we know about these people, because they're analyzing 10,000 data points for every single user all the time. They're saying, based on what we know about what these guys are doing, we think this little chunk of the audience, they're buyers. So they're going to show your stuff to those people. All right. So in this circumstance, we're already only showing the ad to people who are most likely to buy something based on the supercomputer. Okay. So the ad itself says, hey, go here and buy some stuff. All right. And now they go to this page. They see this video. They click the button pops up. It's clearly they're starting to buy it. They're entering their name and email address, and it's the next little thing is like, you know, complete your order, and they're abandoning cart. What we're having here is 16.74% of these people have something called buying intent. That means it's showing an ad to people who are probably buyers. They're clicking on it. They're going to the page, and they're starting to buy. Buying intent is huge because by day number 7, the ad campaign doubles the money. Why does it double the money? Well, because I do what I just showed you to do. Step 1 and number 2. We're making the engine work. Those people who don't buy, they get a series of automated email campaigns that urge them to go back and buy. And I offer extra bonuses and all kinds of cool stuff. And it's automated. So if I get hit by a bus or go join a cult or something, then it's still going to happen, right? That's how we're able to make this thing work. But if you don't have the Rainmaker mindset and you don't have the Rainmaker skills and tools, meaning you don't know what to make those emails say, you don't know how to set all that kind of stuff up, then it's not going to work, right? Let me show you some even cooler stuff. And hopefully this will really support the idea that, you know what, most people really don't know what they're doing. So you've probably heard the concept of retargeting, right? Where like if someone goes to your website, then you retarget them with other ads. And most people would tell you, okay, when you set up a retargeting campaign, let's say on Facebook, for example, you set it up as a conversion campaign where you're like, hey, Facebook, go get me customers from this little group of people who like engaged with my ads or watched my videos or went to my website and didn't buy or whatever. Well, did you know there's like a gazillion other types of ad objectives you can use on Facebook? One of them, now check this out at the top here, one of them is something called a traffic objective campaign, where instead of telling Facebook to go get you customers, you're saying, hey, Facebook, just send clicks. Don't even worry about the algorithm thing. Just show the ad to people who like clicking on stuff. Now, why would you do that? I'll tell you why. It's all about buyer intent. Now, this is for retargeting, right? So if I were to tell Facebook, hey, go get me customers and show it to this small retargeting audience, they're going to charge me about 400% more than they charge me if I say, hey, just go get me some clicks. And the reason I'm making money on the click campaign, and have a look there, I spent $235 and it brought in $594. It's doubling the money. I'll double the money every day. It doesn't matter, right? So I'll take that. Is it $1 billion? No. If you did it in the stock market, we would be a genius though, right? Like anytime you double the money is a good thing. So here's the deal. The reason that works is because buying intent, right? All those people that are engaging with the ads, they're engaging with ads and clicking on my website because Facebook's already finding the buyers in the first wave of campaigns and getting them to take action. I can retarget them with super cheap campaigns and say, hey, just go here and click, and I can make it profitable because it's already buying intent. Look at the second screenshot there. This is from custom software that I'm developing right now. It's if you're one of my clients and you can be an alpha tester for it for free, you'd be doing me a favor. This accurately tracks Facebook ads, and it automates them too. It's really cool, actually. I can't wait to share it with you when it's ready. But have a look at this campaign that's got the red square on it. Notice it says social sales formula reach. In this one, it's the same ad. I'm trying to sell the same thing. It's driving people to the same web page, but it's a different campaign objective. In this case, I'm telling Facebook, hey, take my retargeting audience, everyone who's ever interacted with these ads and stuff. I know they have buying intent, and just show the ad to them. Like, don't even use your algorithm. Like, don't do any of that kind of stuff. Now, that's the cheapest type of ad you can buy right there. It's like unbelievably cheap, okay? Like, so per 1,000 people is like $6 or something ridiculous. Look how profitable it is, okay? I spent $560.54. It brought in $2,490. Has anyone ever told you about reach campaigns before? Probably not. Probably not. Because they're not doing this with their own money. So I know there's a lot of stuff out there about ads, and people are very well-intentioned, and a lot of them are very, very good. My advice to you is this. If you're going to learn ads from somebody who risks millions of dollars of their own money running their own ads. And here's why. When people say, oh, you know, I have an ad agency and I manage this much ad spend for this many people. Here's the thing. If they lose their client's money, they're just going to lose the client, okay? If you lose your own money, you're going to lose your house and your business and your car and your electricity, and you're not going to be able to eat, right? So there's a huge difference between learning from people who actually do it for themselves with real skin in the game versus learning it from people who just do it for a fee. So here's the thing. What I just showed you, as useful as it is the tip of the iceberg of what is possible if you know what to do. And if you want to really master marketing online and turning internet traffic into money and profits, whether it's for your own business or for someone else's, then you need to take the Rainmaker certification. This is a 12-week training, and it is taught by me personally. And this is different from trainings you might have taken in the past on a multitude of levels. The first level is this is done by demonstration. So let me explain. We focus in 3 areas. In step number 1, we work on the obvious thing, which is to get money now. Like literally the first 2 weeks of this certification are called Get Money Now. So I show you all of the things that we can do to generate immediate revenue in a business. And we do it through a very predictable and organized way. So remember I told you we had an agency, and our agency's pitch was, look, we will get you more than you pay us, or we'll refund the difference plus 20%. And we won most of the time. Sometimes we would fail, but most of the time we won. The reason we won is because I identified that there are only 6 major sales processes, period. A sales process is the way that a business takes a stranger and turns them into a customer. And there's really only 6 of them, right? So a classic example would be a low ticket funnel, right? Where you've seen it a million times online. Someone will free plus shipping book, and then there's an order bump, and then there's an upsell, and there's another one. And then if they're doing it right, there are some emails that drive people to buy another thing and all of that kind of stuff. That's called a sales process. Or another one you're probably familiar with, which is like a high ticket one, where someone will register for a webinar, and then they'll watch the webinar, and then they'll submit an application, and then they'll book a call, and then they'll buy or they won't. That's a sales process. And there's 6 of those. So what you're going to see in the very first 2 weeks of this, which is called Get Money Now, is we go through each one of these sales processes. So if it's your business, or you're starting a new business, or you're doing this for a client or whatever, you can literally look at what type of sales process the business has, hold up the diagram, and under the diagram is a checklist of everything that the sales process could have to really maximize the revenue. So I'll give you an example. If we're dealing with like a classic internet marketing sales funnel where it's a free book or whatever, the checklist would be, does it have a 2-step order form? Does it have an order bump? Does it have a 1-click upsell? Does it have multiple 1-click upsells? Is there a cart abandonment sequence? Is there a series that gets people to go back and buy the upsells if they didn't buy the upsells? Is there a back end offer? Is there a deadline sequence? There's like all of these things in a checklist, right? So you're looking at the sales process, and all you do is you're like, okay, does it have this thing? And then if you're like, oh, it doesn't have an order bump, then we have corresponding to everything in every checklist is a template and a toolkit. So in this particular example, if you're working with a client and you're doing it with yourself and you're like, oh man, I need an order bump, but I don't know how to come up with one, and I don't know how to word the copy or whatever, there's literally a framework of exactly what to say in the copy, and there's even frameworks for coming up with what to sell as an order bump. Same thing for 1-click upsells. Same thing for cart abandonment series. And we also, in this first 2 weeks, have templated email campaigns such as 4-day cash machine, 1-day cash machine, call me sequence, content to call me sequence, all sorts of canned offers that any business that has a thing for sale can send to their database like same day to start selling things. And it's all framework and template based, so you're not reinventing the wheel. I built all of this so that we could fulfill on our promises to clients, so that my team wouldn't have to always come to me like, what should we do with this client? They could just look at the checklists and just get it done. And it actually worked. It was awesome. All right. So that's what we do in our first phase. So it's just meant to get money right now. The second phase is exactly what I told you, which is, now that we're doing things that are getting money, we want to make sure that stuff's happening all the time. So in this phase, we automate everything, and we turn everything we did in phase number 1 evergreen. Now, here's what's cool about this. Remember I told you, like for email campaigns, we've already got them written, but it's even more cool than that, because let's say it is a high ticket sales process you're dealing with, and we need to evergreen that, and we need to make it where if someone sees the webinar but they don't submit an application, there needs to be an email sequence that goes out that gets them to submit an application. And if they do submit an application, there needs to be an email sequence that goes out that gets them to schedule an appointment. And if they schedule an appointment, there needs to be an email sequence that goes out that reminds them to show up and pre-sells them before they do. Well, here's the thing. I've created blueprints for every one of those sequences, as well as templates and frameworks for exactly what to say in each sequence. So you can do one of 2 things. Number 1 is you can just hand the blueprints to somebody on Upwork or whatever and be like, install this email sequence and this email thingy. Or if you use ActiveCampaign, Infusionsoft, Aweber, or Go High Level, we can just import them into your account for you. So you don't even have to build them. It's just there, and you can clone them and use them over and over and over again. So that's what we do in stage number 2. In stage number 3, we work with ads, all right? And we scale with ads. And this is where it's so important that we're teaching it by example. So I'm teaching all of this stuff as if I'm here in this chair and you're here beside me. So when I teach you ads, number one, we do Facebook, YouTube, and Google Display Network, meaning banners, which are like so underrated, but absolutely amazing. Nobody really does them. It's crazy. I don't know why they don't, but fine by me. But those are the three that I teach you. And what you will see me doing and walking you through the process of doing is starting ad campaigns from scratch, showing ads to total strangers and selling things at a profit. But you'll also see things go wrong. And this is critical. All right, because I don't know of anyone else that shows you when things go wrong. And here's what I can tell you. Things are going to go wrong. Like something always goes wrong. Of course things are going to go wrong. So you're going to see it in real time, and I'm going to show you how to identify the specific thing that needs to be fixed and how to fix it. As a matter of fact, you also have a diagnostic checklist. So if you're ever running something and it's not working, instead of like, and that there's two causes of overwhelm where you hit an obstacle and it makes you doubt your entire clear path. Instead of that, you just pull up the diagnostic checklist and you just figure out, okay, where is it that needs to be fixed? Half the time it's like one little thing. It's like maybe the order form copy, or maybe the opt-in copy, or maybe the emails aren't going out, or something like really ridiculous. So you just fix that one thing. But the important thing is you will learn how to identify what it is by watching it actually happen. And that's very, very important. So you see money being created from scratch, and that's cool. B, you see the inevitable problems actually happen, and you learn how to deal with them so that you won't ever be in that reactive panic mode again, which is critically important. And I know that you're going to want help, and I want to help you, which is why I'm also giving you one-on-one access to my team. Now, there are a couple things you need to understand about this team. Thing number one is this is by no means whatsoever a hidden offer to give you a strategy session in disguise. No one's going to try to sell you anything. There's nothing to sell you after this. This is it. Okay. So when you have one-on-one access to my team, you're getting access to the people that I pay a total of $51,000 a month in payroll to, that help me run my business and my clients' businesses. So that's who you're getting access to. You get access to them two different ways. The first way is that when you're logged in to Rainmaker certification, at the bottom right hand of the screen, there's a chat window. And if you open that thing up between the hours of 8 and 4 Pacific time, you can just pick your topic, ask a question, and it'll be routed to the right person on the team. So we have people for copy, we've got people for Facebook ads and YouTube ads and all that stuff. It'll be routed to the right person on the team, and they can just answer you by chat. In the event it's the middle of the night or something, and they're not able to answer you in real time, the way we handle your questions is we will open up the question and we will turn on Loom, that screen cam video thingy. I'm sure you know what Loom is. And we actually look at your question and read it and answer it. So if you're like, hey, I'm running this campaign, or this offer's not working, or whatever, we can just bring up the page on the video and tell you the answer and tell you what to do and just send you the video of it. So it's really, really, truly a very personalized experience. So that's way number one. The second way is we have open office hours every single day. On some days, we actually have them twice a day, and we stack the times. So for example, on Mondays, we have one at 9 a.m. and one at 11 a.m. On other days, we might have them at 4 in the afternoon and around noon. And the reason we do this is because we know that people are taking this training from all over the world. So I don't want you to have to get up at like 2 in the morning if you live overseas or something. So we stagger it like that. And the way it works is really simple. You just jump on the call and you get your questions answered. And typically you're going to jump on a call and there's going to be about 8 or 9 people on there. This isn't one of those things where it's like, okay, let's do group coaching and there's 300 people on the call and you're not going to get your question answered. And if you really want to make sure that you get your question answered, you can submit it in advance if you want to, so we can actually have time to really look at it and make sure we give the best answer. But both of those are how you get individual personalized support from real experts. The people on my team have been working with me forever. The youngest one, the newest one, our newbie, our rookie, has been with us going on 3 years. And everyone else has been around longer than that. Okay, so you're really dealing with professionals. Like I said, I'm paying them $51,000 a month in payroll. You don't have to. What would you rather do? Pay 51 grand or not? This sells, incidentally, for $9,800. And at least it used to. I'm not going to try to sell it to you for that much money today, but it really did. And I'll tell you how we did it. We sold a lot of this for $9,800. And the way we did it was we do a webinar like this one. I usually did it live. This is clearly recorded. When people were interested, I'd say, okay, leave a $100 deposit and then go tell us about your business. We would collect a $100 deposit just because I didn't want to talk to someone unless they were really interested. And we would have them fill out an application because I didn't want to do this for someone who was like, yeah, I want to use this so I could create a multi-level marketing program where we're selling pills that will allow you to telepathically communicate with dolphins. So, we would qualify the customer, classic high-ticket funnel. They'd fill out the application, and then they would talk to a sales team. And man, it worked great. And what's really cool is I had a dedicated team member that would actually set up weekly Zoom calls with the members one-on-one. And it was really good, but it was a pain in the ass. It was a total pain in the ass. Remember earlier I told you that I'm a terrible manager? Well, I am a terrible manager. And for that reason, we don't sell it like that anymore, right? So here's the deal. Like I told you, really bad manager. Not unfriendly, it's just not my skill set. I'm no good at it. I'm good at doing this, but I'm not good at managing people. And in order for us to scale, I had to get salespeople. And I had to get a sales team. And they were cool. I liked them, but I'm not qualified to manage a sales team, so I had to get a sales manager. And he was great, did a great job, super nice guy. I really like him. And I still ended up having to talk to him for several hours a day to okay, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? And at the end of the day, I know you've seen all the high ticket webinars and all that kind of stuff. You know what they don't tell you about is net profit. So at the end of the day, after paying for management and ad costs and commissions, and then someone to figure out how much commission was owed, and then make sure they were paid, and then pay my guy that would do the one-on-one Zoom calls with people scheduled every week, which was very expensive. By the way, most people just never scheduled them. After all that, there wasn't a lot of net profit left over. So basically what I figured out is I know how to sell this for less money, and I know how to fulfill this for significantly less money. So I figured I would do that. I'll just pass the savings on to you, which is right now why you can get a 74% discount on this training. So you can enroll in Rainmaker certification right now. You should see a little button. Hopefully this appeared on this web page, and you can enroll with two easy choices. You can save money and make a single payment of $27.99, or if you want to save cash flow, and if cash flow is an issue, which is completely understandable, I've been there myself, then you can stretch it out over 12 monthly payments of $297. The choice is yours. The bottom line is when you enroll in this program and when you actually implement what you're learning, you're going to have the skills and the tools to get what you want, which is consistent revenue and profits from the internet. I'm very, very confident about that. So confident, in fact, that if you go through in the first 30 days, you don't think it was amazing, then just don't pay for it. I don't want to keep the money, which is, of course, standard. Like everyone should guarantee their products and their services like that. But I want to kind of take it one step further and ask you an interesting question. And I'm smiling, I'm laughing about this, but this is really serious. Okay, so you've seen some of the strategies, right? And you've seen okay, if you've watched this and you've been, this really makes sense. Okay, let's do some things that we could implement in our business right now to generate revenue today, such as, doing more of what was working or sending some of the campaigns that I talked about or whatever. Do you think that if you implemented some of that on today or any given day, that it would generate at bare minimum, let's say $9.76? If the answer is yes, if you're yeah, I think I could probably generate, more than $9.76 on any given day from doing this kind of stuff, then that means enrolling in this is an absolute no-brainer, because I did the math. And so if someone were to take the 12-month plan, then that equates to, I believe, is $9.76 per day, which is really not a big deal. I'm pretty sure that if you were just to, not have $10 right now, that it wouldn't change your life very much. And I've done this on purpose. I've made it so that this is affordable for everybody that wants to learn these skills. These are, in my opinion and in my personal experience, The ability to generate cash and generate profit in an online business and do so quickly and consistently, I know from my own personal experience, and I think the evidence is clearly shown because there's so much demand out there, that this is really one of the most valuable skills in the world, period. And what's really cool about this is it can never, ever be taken away from you. And that's really, really important. So you will always have this knowledge and you'll always have these skills and these tool sets and these frameworks at your disposal, no matter what happens with the economy and no matter what life throws at you. And having that sort of a fallback position, if you will, or having that in your back pocket is invaluable. So if you've been watching this and you're like, man, this is really cool, this makes perfect sense to me, then you should go ahead and enroll in the certification right now. We do this in what I call cohorts, which is we like to have a group of students all starting at the same point. So when the team is helping them, we're able to kind of have everybody at the same stage in the journey. And our enrollment and class starts on Monday. All right. So our class starts on Monday. If you want in, you need to enroll before Monday. That's when class starts. And then we close the enrollment on Monday because otherwise it'll be disorganized. And I don't want it to be disorganized. I want you to have an amazing experience so you can actually get the results and be like, this is great. Because when you do that, then you'll end up, if I come up with another class, you'll probably take that too. That's kind of how business works. You offer a superior product at a better price and keep your customers happy so they are repeat customers. This entire presentation is basically about how to use common sense and stay focused and just keep using common sense. I'm telling you, common sense pays. So you need to enroll now. Class starts on Monday, and that's when enrollment closes. It would be a terrible marketing presentation if I didn't offer you a bonus. So I want to offer you two. The first bonus is for people who sell things from human interaction. So if you are a coach, if you're a consultant, if you're an agency owner, if you're a copywriter, if you're an attorney, if you're a realtor, anything like that requires you to actually speak to another human being to sell them something, then this bonus is going to be very, very helpful for you. It's called Client Acquisition System 3.0. I created it in November of 2020. We sold a pretty good bit of it for $6,800. I used a sales team to sell it. And then, like a classic entrepreneur, I stopped selling it, mainly because I didn't feel like dealing with the sales team. It's an excellent training. The primary focus of this is, what do you actually say during that conversation that does two things? Number one, provides incredible value and insight to the person that you're talking to. And number two, causes them to literally ask you if they can do business with you. So it's dramatically different from any of the high pressure, hardcore selling stuff. I don't like that. I don't like to do it. I can't do it. I'm terrible at it. I don't want to be on the receiving end of it. We found what's called the Offer Codex. This is what you learn in Client Acquisition System 3.0. And the Offer Codex is a framework that allows you to do those three things. It delivers massive value to the people, and it causes them to ask you to do business together and ask about buying your stuff, and then helps you close that sale in a way that's really, really friendly. So it's awesome. The second area of focus of that is getting those phone calls and those sales appointments from social media without running ads. Now, I love running ads, but the focus of this one was, hey, here's how you do this organically. And it's great. It's awesome, and you'll love it. And you can have it for free as a bonus when you enroll in this training. The next bonus is a priceless bonus. And this is for people who want to do this as a hired gun. So it's not going to be applicable to everybody. But I figured if you want to use your Rainmaker certification and skills to go out and do these types of things for clients, that I would make it easy for you by giving you the exact ad scripts, appointment setting scripts, and sales scripts that we used to get too many clients. So we literally went from 0 to so many that we had to dial it back because we couldn't find enough people to help us manage all of the clients. I do want to have a little asterisk there. Is that how you pronounce it? Yeah. By Sales Script. We give you a sales framework. I don't use canned scripts. A framework is much better than a script. So you'll get something that's actually designed to be opened up on a Zoom call so you and your prospect actually see this and go through it together at the same time. It's really cool. It works very, very well. You might wonder, well, why would he give me this? It's going to create competition for him. And there's two reasons. Number one, we really don't take many clients. We're very selective at this stage. And the main goal of doing it isn't for the retainer or anything like that. It's so we can end up partnering with that client long term for an equity position in the profits of the business. And number two, have you seen the demand for this stuff? Like, dude, there's no possible way that it can impact any of us. Like if everybody who watches this went and just started doing this for other businesses, I don't think anybody would run out of opportunity. Like nobody knows how to do this really. You've seen it, go search on Google. It's like that just no one knows how to do it. So I'm not really worried about competition because there's enough for every single one of us out there. So here's what I want to do for you now. Okay. Remember earlier, I said I have done this 5 times in a row and I did it live. At the end of the live sessions, what I would do is I would bring people on camera and they would have issues and I would actually use the Rainmaker process to help them find ways to increase revenue right now in their business. And I would also answer questions. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to splice that live footage in for you right now so you can see how this works in real time and you can see how simple it is. And it's important that you see how simple it is because when you see it, you'll be like, oh, this is totally doable. I can completely implement this in my own business or a client's business, whichever you prefer. So with Spielberg-like editing skills, we will now segue into the part where I'm actually doing this in real time. All right, let's check it out.
We had a couple people asking. One of them has a business, but they're kickstarting a new venture. So they wanted to know if they can still apply.
Yes. Yeah, you're welcome to. Here, obviously I would like it if every single person ever took this because, sorry to be distracted. I want to share my screen with you here. There we go. I got one of those little, I can't multitask. My brain doesn't work that good. Can y'all see my screen? Are you cool? Can you see it? Dude, anybody? Yes. Okay. I think I might have lost Tyler there for a minute. Here's the answer to that question. I don't have a business. Should I do this? If you want to have a business, then yes, you should do it. I think the skills, the ability to be able to generate revenue in a business, like to confidently be able to go into not like a random startup, like, hey, I've just started a business selling ebooks about freaking hamsters or whatever, but a business that's got a sales process, a business that has assets like a database of past customers or whatever. I think the skills to be able to go into that business, they can never be taken away from you. That's extremely important right now. Like it's not like someone can repossess that, or just like cut it out of your brain. You will have these skills for the rest of your life. So if you don't have a business and you're starting one, you have to ask yourself the question of, well, if I don't know how to do these things, are my chances of success going to be higher or are they going to be lower? And I would say the chances of success will be lower if you don't know how to do this stuff, because this is the stuff that makes it work. Like you have to be able to do these things. You have to know how to look at a business and be like, okay, what can we do to get revenue now? You have to be able to define a clear path to get from point A to point B. You have to be able to navigate around inevitable, guaranteed these will happen, inevitable obstacles without abandoning your clear path. And you have to be able to keep that your head focused, and you have to be able to run ads. Like all of these skills are must-haves. And if people tell you otherwise, they are either talking about experience where they've been online for 6 months and they got lucky, or maybe they had a bunch of affiliates endorse their stuff and that's their new hack or something, or they're just trying to sell you some bullshit. This is the stuff you got to know. It's kind of like, if you want to live for a long time, you have got to eat right and exercise. This is just more fun than eating right and exercising. This is cooler, unless you're one of those people that eat right and exercise and actually like it. I don't. It's awful. But this stuff is funner.
Nice. Awesome.
There.
All right, we'll take two more questions from the Q&A. Hold on, I'm just trying to find it. Jonathan sells high ticket items, 500K and up, yachts, boats, and it's quite a small market. Do you find that difficult to work with Facebook and YouTube for something that high price?
No. Um, yes, I think this is relevant. However, okay, it's all in the sales process for you. So, put yourself, and your customer better than anybody, right? Like they're not going to go and enter the credit card number for the boat or the plane or anything like that. So the first thing that has to happen is we have to have the machine in place. It's going to generate something that'll get them on a list so we know they're interested in these things. Then we have to have a machine that is going to find out which one they're interested in. Then we're going to have a machine that's either going to get them to call you or a machine that will behaviorally identify who's interested now and make it so that you can call them and get them into a sales conversation. And with that said, yes, but you're probably not expecting to be able to do this, so I'm not trying to insult your intelligence, and I hope I don't come across that way. But if someone has sold you on the idea of I'm going to build you a mini site and then they're just going to come in and buy boats and stuff, there's going to be a little bit more to it. So all of the money is going to be made after the click here, and when you're doing things, especially that high ticket, all of us need to be holistic in terms of how we do ads and stuff, but especially something really high ticket. So if you start running Facebook and YouTube ads, what you're going to experience is something called brand lift. All right. And so brand lift is people becoming very aware of you. So one thing that you could do immediately is go and bid on your own name, in Google AdWords, because people are going to see your ads and then they go Google the thing and then they're going to go to your site. And so you have to tie all of that stuff together. But none of that is going to do a lick of good if we don't have the post-click thing built out properly. And in your case, it's pretty simple. It's like, are you interested in a boat? Which one? How soon are you thinking about buying it? And then from there you communicate appropriately. So after that stage, it's kind of like any other higher ticket funnel.
Believe it or not, we've actually in the agency worked with yacht brokering companies twice. And it's very fun, very exciting. All right, we're going to do a hot seat. Matthew Coast.
We never got free yachts. Why did they invite us on their yacht? Come on.
Matthew Coast is going to be on first. Current revenue is about 103K. Ad spends at the 50K mark and wants to get to 200 a month. So Matt, if you want to unmute and tell us a little bit more about what you sell.
Hey, what's up, man?
Hey, dude.
Yeah, so I sell women's. I'm in the women's dating space, and right now I mostly sell low ticket items, so things between $7 and $97. We also have a few higher ticket things, some coaching stuff, but we haven't really been able to get it working all that well so far yet. We do get like a trickle in of higher ticket stuff, but we haven't been able to get a functioning funnel working for it yet. And so, yeah, we're trying to scale here. So what questions do you have for me on?
All right. So if we were to follow like the proven path, the very first thing I want to do is just get money, right? So tell me about the assets that you've got at your disposal. Numero uno, how about the list?
Yeah, I've got a list. It's got around 290,000 people on it.
Okay. How often do you mail them? I'm going to guess a lot.
I mail every day and sometimes
Sweet.
twice a day.
Good, as you should. All right. So over like the past, let's say 90 days or something, what promo to the list has made the most money?
It's this texting program that I have. So what I typically do is send out an email every day with like a article that then goes to a sales letter. And there's a texting program that I sell where once a week, I usually send out an email or twice a week, I usually send out an extra email that where it goes straight to the sales letter, and that texting program just crushes it every time we send it out. I just sent it out last weekend actually, and I think we made like, I'd have to look at the exact stats, but I'm guessing it was around like, I don't know, $1,500 to $2,000 from that email, which is good for me.
Okay. We got an issue with the list hygiene, I think, probably, but that's to be discussed later. Let's get money now. So tell me about oh man, I wish I could move this thing. I wonder if I can. Of course, I don't really know how to use this device. Oh, dude, look, no way. I can move that little box. Okay. That's so awesome. All right. Let's talk about the sales process for the text thingy itself. All right. So we got the email going out. We know that works. Okay. They hit the sales page for the text thingy. So TT stands for text thingy. All right. Professional term. All right. What happens? So VSL sales letter, 2-step order form or not?
So they go to a text-based sales letter. They go to an order form, which has a bump on it. It's got a
2-step or 1-step?
It's a 1-step.
Okay. So first we need to pop a little 2-step in there. All right. There's a way around this, but I still would recommend it. Okay. So I'm just going to put this in there to add. All right. And then so now, oh, you know what? I can make this look less awful if I move the screen over. Okay. So now we have order form with a little bump. Sweet. Okay. Then what?
Then once they buy that, they go through a upsell sequence where I offer an advanced kind of texting program. And if they don't get that, or they do get that, they also get offered another program about dealing with difficult relationships. And then if they do or don't purchase that, they end up at another offer where I sell them a program about how to talk dirty to a guy.
I'm not smiling. I'm keeping a straight face here, keeping it appropriate. Funerals, baseball. Okay. That's funny. That's your job, dude. That's awesome. Okay. So you happy with the performance of these things? This seems like it's built out pretty good.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with this, with the texting offer and everything that's going on there. We have an average. The only problem with it is, and you know, you can call this a problem or not, is the average order value is around $20. So the texting program itself, I kind of modeled this off of somebody else that was running cold traffic on an offer where they were doing a $7 front end, and then they had an order bump that was $20, and then they had the upsells on the back end. And so we're getting around $20, which isn't horrible, but it's not amazing either. We're running it on cold traffic, and so we're making enough money so that we're breaking even on it. And then most of the revenue that most of the profit we generate is from back end sales of other products that I have.
Okay, so the AOV on this one is about $20. So $7, 20 here. What are these? Just price point.
So the first one, OTO1, is $97. And then the second one's $67. And then the third one is it's $37.
Okay, like it. Alrighty. So now let's talk about the email sequence that gets them there. So you've got a campaign that you send by email that gets them to come here. What's that look like?
It's usually just a one-off email is what I send to them.
Oh, girl. Okay. Let's have a little fun. All right. So let's take this thing and make it, well, let's do that later. Like, let's just not even get fancy yet. list like today, what's the big result that they get as when they text? Like, actually, never mind. Let's first of all send the normal 1-day email that you do, because that works. So let's just send it today and get free money. But then tomorrow, all right, let's do what I like to call a 1-day cash machine. Okay. And that is, we take this whole thing right here, and instead of charging this $7, we're going to charge this thing, we're just going to say $1. All right. And so you're just going to clone the funnel and click funnels or whatever. And we're going to make this $1. And don't even mess with a 2-step order form yet. For cold traffic, I want you to get a 2-step order form, because you're losing a ton of money by not getting those cart abandons. But let's send. All right, so are you clear, like real quick on just that point of it, that we're going to do a flash discount for this thing for $1?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So this is, I call it the 1-day cash machine, and this works wonders. We have it as part of our automated system right now. So what we want to do is we want to take tomorrow or whenever, and we want to send 3 emails. And this is called an open sequence. So the mission of this campaign right here, this is all automated. So you can do this active campaign. It doesn't matter. Like, they all have this capability. This is to use dog whistle subject lines to get them to open the email. So number 1 could be, read this if you want to save whatever, percentage that is, right? So whatever percent off $6 off of 7 is, I'm blanking on it, but like 82% or something. Read this if you want an 82% discount. Number 2 would be, open this if you want to get dates from texting or whatever the big result is. Number 3 would be the same thing. Open this if you want something. The whole goal is to get them to open. The body copy is going to say something like, for today only, you can get this thing for $1. Go here. Nothing fancy on the body copy. The job of these emails is to get them to open. So I made a huge deal today about buying intent, right? And so it's overlooked by everybody. It's not sexy. It's just, but money is cool. But this is like the ninja level shit. All right. So if they open an email that says, read this if you want to get a discount or something, then we know that they want to get a discount on something, right? So like, obviously they have buying intent. So what we do here is, if they open, all right, so O there stands for opened. Everybody else, get your mind out of the gutter, right? If they open it, what we're now going to do is, first of all, the links in these emails, it sends them to the, the discounted funnel and everything. We don't expect them to buy if they click on that immediately, because they're human. So now this open, if they open, we want to send them a series of however many emails you want to do. Let's just say 4 over the course of like 5 hours. So it's a 5-hour deadline. We want to send them 4 emails, and it's a deadline sequence, also known as a countdown sequence, that's driving them to this $1 offer. All right. And the $1 offer, the function of that thing is really to get the upsells purchased. Okay. Does that make sense? So that will bring you immediate sales. You're not going to make a ton of money on the $1, but you should do very, very well on the upsells and on the order bump. And what's cool is you can do this about everything, because you're only like applying the pressure in terms of like, mailing a lot to the people who have opened. So you're only dealing with people with that buying intent, and that works exceptionally well. So I would do that immediately to get money like now. In terms of getting more money per order, like in same day sales for your ad spend, if we were to now like take a step back away from that, if you're running traffic to this thing and you don't have a 2-step order form, you're leaving a tremendous amount of money on the table. So what you'll see happen most likely is that this process right here, because remember, like everyone watching at home, he's going sales page straight to order form. So he's not capturing their email addresses at all. So if we go sales page, opt-in, and then order, we're going to see about 10% of your visitors, give or take, are going to become email subscribers, right? And you probably know from your order form stats that most of the people who go to the order form don't buy. So it's like, we should get these guys in a damn a cart abandonment sequence. And what works exceptionally well, by the way, is one little tweak to your pages. So the funnel you're driving cold traffic to, if you take that sucker and you put it on deadline funnels and you make it where it's $7 for the next 5 hours, and it's actually does, like, if 5 hours go by and then they come back, it redirects to a version of the funnel where it's now $14 or something. So you're really true to your word on that. Here's what you can do. You're driving ads to the normal page. This is your sales page. And it's got the timer on it now. So it says, special discount available until the timer hits 0. We do this all the time. This is exactly what I do in my $4 course funnel. This is why it works. So offer, it expires when the timer hits 0. If they abandon cart, now we put them in a deadline sequence, also known as a countdown sequence. That's going to send them a series of emails. I like 4. I pulled that number out of the air. 4 of them over the course of 5 hours that are driving them back to that sales page. If they return after the deadline, same funnel, you've just raised the price. So you're true to your word. Then the program called Deadline Funnels makes that possible. It's cheap, it's easy, and it's like really hard for them to cheat the deadline. So you're not using false scarcity. That's why you want to do it. You don't want to be one of those false scarcity guys that can land you in trouble. That'll make your ads increase. This thing will help you get even more people on your email list. So that is like the very first thing I would start doing instantly. So none of this is complicated at all. It's just taking what's working, tweaking it a little bit, making it work better. The high ticket thing gives me cause for concern. Okay. Between us girls. All right. And I was going to say, and we're both perfect experts at talking dirty to men. Between us girls here, how much effort has gone into this compared to the amount of revenue it is produced?
Way too much.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right. So welcome to the club, my fellow entrepreneur brain person. You got a business that's working pretty good and you don't have to screw with it very much. And you probably saw a webinar about people making shit tons of money with high ticket stuff. And you're like, I want to do high ticket. And you can theoretically, but your skill is clearly in doing stuff like this. And if you just do more stuff like this at greater scale, you'll probably make a whole lot more money. So if you take all that effort, let's say you have like 70% of energy and time went to doing this thing, which yielded like 10% of revenue, right? And you just redirect that 70% back into doing more of these dang things, you're probably going to make more of the money with a whole lot less of the stress.
Sounds fair, man.
Yeah. So that's your, we call it prescription in our world. Prescription number 1, take the damn email that worked and send it again. And prescription number 2, do that one-day cash machine. And the cool thing is like this structure right here, you can do it with these upsells. So if they haven't taken the upsells, they forgot about it 24 hours after watching it. So it's not like they're going to be like, wait, I remember seeing this thing and offer for it a month ago after I bought. Like no one pays us that much attention, unfortunately. Otherwise we'd be rich. So you've got all these assets, which you can sell. And it's just a matter of slapping together an email sequence that basically does this, gets them to behaviorally indicate they're interested in buying it by either clicking or opening, and then putting them into a deadline that offers it and making that deadline actually expire. We have done this to put into context how well this works. Every weekend, we have done this with one specific offer for the past 4 weeks, and it has consistently produced over $30,000 in revenue for us every single weekend. And it's the same email series to the same list of people. Same thing. And it just keeps working. And like, I was talking to Tyler yesterday. I was like, well, what should we do this weekend? He was like, hey, I was just listening to this webinar that this dude did today, talking about the webinar we were doing. So you should keep doing what's working. I'm like, okay, thank you. We're going to send the exact same promotion again over the weekend because it keeps on working.
Yeah, that's brilliant, man. I love the idea of doing the upsells with the deadline funnels. That sounds like a great idea. I'd love to test it out.
Yeah, I would. I mean, because this is where the money is. And like drop the price of that thing to $1. and send it to the people who hadn't bought it, and remember, no one's going to see it unless they open these things. So the fear of like, oh shit, the whole list is now going to know like that I discounted it. Like, no, they're not, because they don't open it. You're probably going to have 8% of the list open this. And those are the ones that are going to get this right here, that are driving them to that dollar site. And now those dollar people are going to spend more. And then when it works, you just add it to the automation so that everybody who comes in, because now you're changing your funnel to where it's got a 2-step. So now you're getting more people on your list. Now everybody's going to get that automatically. And that's how we shore ourselves up against the sabotage that we like to inflict upon our businesses, which is, let's change the stuff that was working.
Right.
And so, yeah, there you go. No extra charge for the graffiti today, ladies and gentlemen. So this is what you do. Like, whether it's to your business or to a client's, this is it. Like, this is how you do it. This is how you generate money immediately. It only works like all the time. He's got the assets for it. That's why I'm so confident in saying that. And we could every week meet up and be like, okay, let's do it again. Let's come up with another offer. And we don't even have to create anything new. He's already got the products. He's already got proven sales processes for it. We just got to drive traffic to it from the existing database. Simple, very, very simple. So there you go.
I noticed Carlos was raising his hand. So he's an existing client. I didn't know if Carlos, you wanted to share anything?
Actually, I didn't realize I raised my hand, but I'd be more than happy to. I mean, I've been working with Frank, with you guys for the last, was it 2 years? And Frank, my business has skyrocketed over 400%, just like in the first year of using your services.
Crazy. Remember, everything to the right of the decimal comes to us as royalty. So it's got to be, here's the 99 cents, baby. Come on.
And you know what's interesting, Frank? It's right now. I mean, I think I'm getting at least 10 to 15 leads a day. They're downloading my book, but I've gotten to the point where I'm only dealing with people who are pre-booking appointments on my calendar. I know if I just email my list more often, which I'm not doing as much as like I should be doing, I'd probably even be getting more. In fact, this morning I closed 2 leads from. I closed two of my leads this morning, and that was $6,000 in revenue.
That's great.
So,
what would you say the biggest needle mover was? Because I always like to try to find like that one thing, if there was like one most significant thing that helped you grow 400%.
I don't know. Hell, once I started doing the brand, obviously I started with the branding. When I first got your branding course, I started doing the immediately kind of branding with the YouTubes, the Facebook ads, the Facebook videos. And then once you guys did my book lead conversion, that skyrocketed everything. It's just like nonstop right now.
That's great.
No, you guys
get more.
It's amazing. Keep on doing what you guys are doing. I'm like jazzed.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to hear that it's working, and now I'm like, well, dude, like, strike while the iron's hot, man. Like, let's turn up the volume on the book.
Yeah.
Like, are you just kind of enjoying like, all right, no, dude, I'm living a pretty happy life. Everything's cool. I don't want, which is fine, by the way. That's perfectly acceptable. I'm not one of these like hustle until you die people. You're going to die anyway. Might as well have fun.
Obviously, I'm in an industry right now. I specifically deal with tax problems and tax debt. Clients that have tax debt problems. So obviously there's a whole ton of those people. I've always said that the IRS does our marketing for us by sending the letters and the notices. All I got to do is let people know I exist to help them.
That's perfect. Well, those, I can't remember the letters because I've gotten them myself, because apparently taxes are not optional.
No.
Right. I read on a blog somewhere that it was unconstitutional, but apparently you're supposed to pay them. Who knew? So those letters, there's like a whole series of them. They all have like numbers and shit.
Yep.
So if you haven't done this just for fun, like, because you're already doing well, but if you just want to have like an icing on the cake kind of thing and further do the branding and plant the seeds and stuff, you can set up YouTube search campaigns where somebody searches on Google for that letter, number and all that kind of stuff. Like
letter 11 and CP 504. Yep, I know.
Yeah. So like those, and you can bid on those search terms for YouTube ads, and anyone who searched for those or something similar, they'll see your YouTube ad, and your YouTube ad can be like, we've got the whole framework for it that's actually in the certification, at which you've probably seen, and so it's like, hey, if you've gotten this letter, here's what you do. And if you need some help, call us. Free money.
Actually, my biggest selling video on YouTube happens to be specifically in regards to the state of California tax letter.
How about that?
Yeah.
That's great.
It's a video I did a couple of years ago. I'm talking about that specific letter. It's basically the letter you get right before they yank the money out of your bank account. And usually people are calling me right after the money got yanked out of their bank account.
Can you get it back for them, or do you just?
I can. I can normally get it back within 48 hours.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Hot diggity. Yeah. California is real friendly about taxes. They're great.
Oh yeah, they're fun. They're a lot of fun. But you know what? I've been using your system since you originally launched this, and then obviously hired your team to do what you guys do, and it's. You know what? I'm blessed. I'm just blessed that you guys are doing what you're doing, because it keeps me way too busy.
Well, I'm glad that we've done that. And if I could give you anything, then I would say, okay, well, that means I'll tell you the same thing I told Brooke Castillo when I started working with her, who now is obnoxiously wealthy, mostly because she's extremely intelligent. It has nothing to do with me. But she was at a capacity issue when we first started working together. And I was like, well, just raise prices. And she did, and she's like sold the same amount of stuff, but charged a lot more money. So you could do that if you want. When you reach capacity issue, that's the first thing you do, is you raise them prices on up. So give it a whirl, my man, and hopefully you make even more money and same amount of work, which is good. All right, Tyler, I saw him vanish. He vanished away. California got him. They were like, hey, you can't do that. And then they got him. Guys, look, if you like this type of stuff, and you think this is cool, and you're like, dude, okay, this is really not actually that complicated. This kind of makes sense. Let's just take what's working and do more of it, and learn how to train our brains to ignore the noise, and then to look for opportunities, and then learn that, like, hey, we don't need to freak out when we have obstacles. Enroll in the training. It is not very expensive. And again, we haven't like diminished the quality of the stuff, and that's why we sell it for less money. It's because we have found a less expensive way to sell it and fulfill it. So I'm just passing the savings on to you. It's literally like if Ford, the damn cost of steel went down and Ford could produce the F-150 for less money, and they were like, shit, man, we're Ford, we're cool, we're just going to charge less for it because it costs us less to make it, and we might as well. That's how they talk over there. They talk like that guy from 1883, that show, I might as well just charge less money for it because it don't cost us as much to make these trucks right now. That's how they talk. So that's the only reason there's a discount there. That's the logic behind it. If we have a minute, and I haven't put anyone to sleep, I do want to show people something to help y'all deal with inevitable obstacles. So is there anyone who's waiting on me to help them, Tyler, or can I show people this one? Okay, cool. I really like doing this. And I made the decision yesterday and didn't even tell anybody, but I'll tell you that what I am going to do for people in this class is I'm going to do hot seats like this, minimum 6 times during every cohort. So a cohort is a 12-week period. We start on Mondays. So I'll do it a minimum 6 times for each cohort because I like it. I like doing this stuff, like talking to Carlos, like just diagramming the stuff out for y'all is fun. So here's what's going to happen to you. And most of y'all, this has happened to. And if anything, I want to be able to like use the oldest trick in the book, which is to demonstrate I can help you by actually helping you. So I want to show you what can and will go wrong and how to deal with it so that you don't get kicked into overwhelm and kicked into anxiety and stress and then get off of your proven path. So that's my mission here. So it doesn't matter what the business is, the process of getting a customer generally looks like this, right? So you got an ad, okay? And then they're going to a page, and on that page, whether it's a sales page with a 2-step order form or if it's an opt-in page or whatever, they can opt in, right, and become a lead. All right. And then from there, they can go to either a sales page or an order page, but let's just say it's like kind of your classic funnel and they're going to your sales page here. All right. And then from the sales page, they're going to the order form. All right. And then that's what we've got. All right. So you got an ad, some sort of lead generation thing. They see the main offer and they're going to the order form. And that's kind of it. Like there's some variations, but we can agree that it's going to be some variation of this. It's pretty much how everything works, generally speaking. And instead of order form, it could be a consultation form. It doesn't matter. But like this is the thing. So when stuff breaks, right, it's usually one of these things. Okay. So if you've got a campaign going and it's not working and you're looking back on like when you've tried ads before, okay, here's how to look at it and handle it so it doesn't freak you out. So very first thing is, are people clicking on the ad and are they clicking on it at an acceptable cost per click? So let's say they are. All right. So that's good. The second thing is, are they actually opting in, whether it's on a two-step order form or it's just a regular old opt-in page, like a register for a webinar or whatever. If they are not opting in, this could be the greatest thing in the world. Your sales page could be amazing. David Ogilvy could have come from the dead and written your page himself, and no one's seeing it. So do we rebuild everything? No, we're just like, oh, wait a minute, it's here. We just changed the copy here. All right, so let's say this is actually working out okay, but they're coming here and they're not buying. All right, so there's going to be two things that might be happening, and it depends on how your sales process works. Thing number one is let's assume they're not immediately redirected here, right? So they've got to get some emails before they see the offer. If that's the case, we have to look at, are they opening the emails? And if so, are they clicking the emails, which now drive them here? All right. So if that's how your funnel works and you're not getting sales, okay, but you are getting leads, the very first thing to look at is, are people opening the damn things? Now, if they're not opening the emails, all right, then they can't click the emails and therefore they cannot visit the sales page and they cannot buy. So if that's the issue, instead of having to rebuild every single thing, all you got to do is change your subject lines, because that's why people don't open emails, is because the subject line doesn't get them, right? If they are opening and they're not clicking, then you know it's an issue with the email copy itself. So instead of changing all this stuff, you just tweak your email copy. So now let's say that for whatever, now they're actually getting to your sales page, right? So this is going to be either, they're watching the sales video or they're reading a sales letter and they're not doing what you want them to do. So we have to look at, and this is where it's important to like really, have our little flow charts in front of you for every sales process. You can sort of go through your checklists here. But if you got a sales page and you've got a two-step order form, the very first thing to do is you need to look and see, are they actually going to the two-step order form and starting to order? If that answer is no, right? And so I'll like erase this. Actually, I won't erase it. The whole thing. I would say this is step one, right? If they're not going here and they're not starting to order, that means it's an issue with your sales page. There's something wrong on the copy of your sales page. You're just not saying the right stuff. So you don't have to change your ad. You don't have to change your opt-ins. You don't have to change your email sequence. You don't have to mess with your order form. Your product's not wrong. There's something in the offer, right, that's not right. So you got to fix that. Now, thankfully, we've got frameworks and templates for making solid offers, but that's where the problem is. It's not everything else. You don't veer from the path. Just change that one thing and then keep going and continue to measure. Let's say that they are starting to fill in the order form, all right, and they're not ordering, right? So this is the actual order page itself, okay? Well, we got one of two things happen. If like nobody's freaking ordering, like if you get 100 people that fill in step number one and nobody orders, then your order page copy sucks and you need to change it. But if you've got like 10% or better of the people that are hitting the actual order page are buying, then it's not your order page. You could maybe get some like incremental tweaks there. But the real issue is they are normal human beings and they're procrastinating, and you need to have a cart abandon sequence, right? So this is how you diagnose this stuff and get away from the inevitable panic and anxiety and fear that can set in when things don't go wrong or when things don't go properly. Because in reality, there's only a handful of things that it could be. And it's very rarely all of these things. It's usually one of these things. And one thing I didn't address, which is, let's say that people are clicking on your ad, but it's very, very expensive. We had this happen yesterday when we did a hot seat. The lady's like cost per click was ridiculous. It had grown to like $10 or something like that. Here's the cause of that. Number one is that you're targeting and you're making it super narrow. All right. So Facebook, let's just use Facebook for this example. It's a supercomputer, right? So instead of let's say you're dealing with doctors. All right. Instead of trying to target just men who are doctors on Facebook between the ages of 35 and 40, try a broader target audience, like people who are medical professionals or something, and make your ad say, read this if you are a doctor who wants more patients, right? What happens when you do that is Facebook charges you a lot less per 1,000 impressions. That's how they charge you, is how much money per 1,000 impressions they're going to give your ad. So if you're spending a whole lot of money and your cost is really, really high, it's probably because that number is really high. And that number is probably really high because of either A, you have too tight of a targeting. So I'll just put TT there. Your targeting is too tight. Or B, it used to not be high, right? And now it is high. And that occurs when you've been running the same ad forever. Facebook will start to raise the prices on you because they want you to change your creative. Okay. And there's a little trick that I want you to try here, which is A, don't change anything. If this has happened, like you were getting cheap clicks, everything was great, and now the cost per click is like tripled or something, and that's thrown all this other stuff off. Do this: turn the campaign off, make a duplicate of it, and then turn it back on. That resets Facebook algorithm. And they're like, oh, it's a new campaign. Okay. And they should go back to like immediately giving you cheaper clicks. So that works. And in the event that it doesn't, don't change your entire ad, change like 2 or 3 words of copy. What we do with that video, I've been showing that same stupid video ad. That's my winning ad. I've been running it since July or June of last year. What we'll do when we have to is if they keep jacking up my costs on it, I'll take the original video and I'll put it in my video software and I'll add an extra 2 seconds of just blank space to the end of it. So it's a different size file. And then same copy, same everything else, but the actual video file is different. And Facebook's like, oh, it's a new ad. And then they're cool again. This is how you like diagnose this. Now in Rainmaker School, we've got this where it's way easier than when I've just tried to like explain last minute when I haven't had anything to eat and my brain is starting to shut off. But I wanted to give you this so you would know that, like, you know, when I saw that number at the very beginning of this conversation, where I think it was 70-something% of you guys had tried ads and they didn't work, I really desperately want to fix that for you. And it's usually like, it's not the whole thing, right? It's just one of these little things. And when you just diagnose which one it is and make simple tweaks, by the way, we have checklists on how to fix all of this in Rainmaker School. When you fix that one little machine part, now the whole damn thing's working. It's like, if your car's not running right and you have a flat tire, you don't need to get a new car. You just put air in the tire and you're going to be cool. So again, if you found this valuable, which I really hope you did, really, I'm telling you, enroll in Rainmaker School. Whether you want to get certified and take the testing or not, you're going to get the skills that will allow you to generate revenue in the business. And it's irreplaceable. You can't unlearn it ever. And it's only going to get in more demand. And all you have to do to prove how much demand there is to yourself is do a Google search in your city for digital marketing jobs and insert city name here and look how much is out there where businesses are basically saying, damn it, we need someone to help us get money from the internet, and nobody can. because all they're trying to do is dumb stuff like get likes and make people feel whatever it was, warm and cool or whatever, instead of actually selling things. I want you to sell things. I want you to be very, very successful for altruistic reasons, but also for very self-serving reasons. I know that if you do, then you'll continue to do business with me, and that'll be great because I want to do this for another 22 years. I like it. It's fun. So for everyone who is enrolled, I appreciate it a lot. I really thank you all for being here. It's good Lord, there's 116 people still here. That's great. It's a Friday afternoon. It's 1:34 my time, which no wonder I'm hungry. So I'm going to grab a bite to eat now. And thank you so much. Get enrolled. And I'll see you in class because we're going to do these hot seats at least 6 times during the cohort where I'm just going to jump on and help you diagnose stuff and fix stuff and get money, damn it, because I like it. I can't believe I get paid for this stuff. Luckiest boy in the world, I tell you. I tell you what, sure am. Thank you all for giving me such a good life. I appreciate it. Okay. With that said, y'all have a great weekend. Take it easy and have yourself some fun. Bye.